Come out to the bar.
Here we go.
Niggas do video shoots and get shot in dashiki.
Come on, son. Why you got... Hello, YouTube. Cheers, and welcome to The Basement. My name is Bruce Lively.
And I'm D-Boy Slim.
And The Basement Debates is the first exclusive hip-hop debate format. Every Tuesday and Friday, we tackle the most intriguing topics in hip-hop culture and the world around it. So welcome back, Basement family. After a long break, today in Atlanta, there was a runoff election for a few key positions, right? Also, just last month, Atlanta had a chance to elect their first black female governor. But due to voter suppression, that did not happen. This got us thinking, people, how much political cachet does hip-hop even have anymore? You remember that? We headed for a self-destruct? Do you remember that we used to have a lot? The real question is, does hip-hop have a significant influence in politics anymore? With that being said, let's go.
That's my favorite part of the day. Just want to say I'm glad to be back, partner.
Indeed, glad to have you back. Glad to be doing this instead of something else, bro. Just name something.
Now, you see, it was Bruce's idea mostly to really cover the political landscape and what's going on right now. Mm-hmm. How hip-hop, how it's pertaining to hip-hop. And, of course, I was in agreement, being the intelligent, intellectual, handsome, charismatic guy that I am.
That's how you lose, right?
Nah, but on a serious level, you don't often hear me give my views on politics, or even from time to time you see me and Bruce, we dive into some of the issues and what's going on, obviously, when it's glaring us right in the face. I think this is worth mentioning, worth talking about. Plus, I know my hip hop, and for me, just like the rest of the world, I think hip hop has had a big influence and impact. And I don't think politics is any different. There's obviously damning proof and undeniable proof of this and evidence of this if we look at just a few months ago when Kanye West was sitting in the White House.
How much did that influence?
If that doesn't, there was worldly issues going on at the time. And okay. He shut down and had wasn't even a press conference, it was a luncheon, so to speak, with Jim Brown and Kanye West. Kanye West didn't sit down and have lunch with Obama, which is alarming because they're both from Chicago. It's kind of surprising.
It's because Obama called him a jackass.
When the highest office in the land, decides that he wants to televise and record him having lunch with one of the biggest hip-hop figures, it speaks for itself as to where hip-hop and what politics means to hip-hop. Some may try to downplay it. Some may say Kanye West was used as a puppet. Some may say Kanye West went up there and got his issues off and got him across, and he was allowed to ask for a pardon of Larry Hoover right on national television. I think all of the above, like I said, it's definitely had a big impact on politics. Significant, you say. Obviously, and I won't get into Democrat and Republican and the 45th president that we do have, but 20 years ago was 1998. Mm-hmm. I was watching, I'm keep my story short, I was watching an old episode of Rap City, and the particular episode was Cousin Jeff assume y'all may remember if y'all that old and remember Rhapsody. Cousin Jeff was covering the Democratic convention. And it just made me think as to where the vision was for us as, you know, fans of hip hop, artists of hip hop, producers, executive, all of that are involved in inside of the world and culture of hip hop, where the vision was 20 years ago. And I think we had a significant, what's the word again, cachet, you know, on politics back then. But fast forward and 20 years later, you see Kanye West sitting down having lunch with the president of the country. I can't help but to think we've made tremendous strides as far as politics is concerned and its impact on politics. As far as hip hop is concerned and its impact on politics. So,
okay. Well,
as far as have we gotten to the point where Jay-Z can change policy or Diddy can help get policy changed? Not quite. But can they help influence voting or young black people that may listen to their music go out to the polls and be aware of voting? Sure. And from that sense, yeah, we've had a tremendous impact and we have tremendous cachet on politics.
So I'm taking it in. I believe I understand what you're saying, and I believe that what you're saying is not wrong. The only problem is the reason why this question is even being asked. Like you said, everybody knows that hip hop has had its place in politics, in worldview, in people's views from growing up till now. The last part of the question is anymore. And to be honest with you, people are so divided right now that their lines have already been drawn. We saw Eminem, who has probably a greater white following than anybody else in hip hop, maybe except Drake, and probably more than Drake, come out and denounce the president, put his middle finger up, put a line in the sand, and say, we're not rocking with this. 2 weeks later, he had to come back and apologize for that line in the sand because he didn't want to diss his people. Because right now we're so divided that even when the report comes out by 15 different agencies that says global warming is happening and it's going to ruin our economy, you're allowed to just say, I don't believe it. You can dismiss anything is what I'm telling you. And right now we're in a place where all the TIs, all the marches, all of the Eminems, all of the Jay-Z's that speak out are only speaking to the people who would have already voted that way. The other people, it doesn't make a difference anymore. And I'm gonna show you my examples. When you talk about Kanye at the White House, number one, we're in hip hop are obsessed with empty symbols, talking and talking and talking. What actually happened when he went there is he was proven to be a lackey, and he was proven how ineffective hip hop is in politics right now. Because everybody who already believed it, who already liked 45, said it was awesome. And everybody who already hated 45 and who already thought that Kanye's been cooning said it was just more of the same. No minds were changed. There was no influence there. There was absolutely no influence. Kanye's wife had more influence on getting the older black lady out of jail when she went to go visit. And she's not a hip hopper. Number two, in Atlanta, you had a chance to elect the first black female mayor. No, not mayor, governor of Georgia. And the actual Secretary of State, who's been put in there for so many years of Republican voting, who was running against her and overseeing the vote. And so millions of votes were just cast away, thrown out, and no matter how much influence you thought you had, no matter how many TIs came out and told you to vote, no matter how many years, which is 5, that she had been going out with grassroots campaign before she started running, doesn't matter. The division has been set in so much stone, and it's scary. Hip hop doesn't have the influence that it used to simply because We stopped voting years ago. And even now that voting is becoming popular, the rules have already been so set, the gerrymandering has already been so set that our influence has dwindled to exactly what they thought it was going to be. Just about nil, just about empty talk, just about a guy sitting in the White House doing absolutely nothing while the governors are running their own races, cheating, taking people off the voting rolls to no effect at all. And I gotta say, I do understand that hip hop has the potential to be influential. As it stands right now with this president and the division that it's caused, people are no longer influenced by anything except Fox News or CNN. It's one or the other, and their lines are set in stone.
I disagree vehemently. Here's why. What you explained was the status quo. What the landscape of politics is the line that's drawn, which is a hard line in the sand, because obviously the prior president was the first black president of the United States, and this could be debated as the worst presidency of this country. It's a debate that can be held. So when you say that, people who think the way they think are gonna continue to think the way they think either way, that's fine, but I don't think that has anything to do with the ongoing influence that hip-hop has on politics. And this is why I say that. What's the eligible year that you can vote?
18.
Well, funny thing about hip hop, if you look up the numbers and you look up the stats and you look up, demographics and everything involving the analytics as far as numbers are concerned with hip hop, the average age of consumer or someone listening to hip hop and indulging in the culture is probably from the ages of about 12 to 25, I would say. Like, where you can actually rap and recite lyrics, you're listening to videos, you know which artist is who and who produced it at that. I said all that to say, when you speak about the influence of hip hop to politics, not politics to hip hop, but hip hop to politics.
Mm-hmm. And right now is election day. Last month was election day. What did hip hop influence in those elections right now? Nothing.
What do you mean, what did they influence?
What influence did hip hop have in those elections?
Let me say this. If you paid attention to the governor's race in Atlanta, Georgia, Stacey Abrams herself told you there was a lot of foul play going on.
Right. That's what I mean.
And there was
not potential.
I don't attribute her not winning to hip hop's lack of influence in politics. I don't attribute the two. Reason being because Obama and Oprah came to Atlanta, Georgia to support the campaign of Stacey Abrams, and they weren't able to influence the race anymore. Which
so
goes back to, like you were saying, the status quo.
Is able to
there would have been no amount of influence that would change the status quo.
I agree.
But that's not to say that hip hop doesn't have some type of influence, if not
significant.
More significant
is my point.
Than they did 20 years ago. My point, that's why I keep going back to the timeline, because it's more significant. You may not, and like I said, in this election with Donald Trump or whatever, it may not reflect that, but that's not the whole picture. That's not the whole picture. And like I said, even so, you still see Donald Trump embracing hip hop. I mean, so it has to be an influence there. There has to be some type of influence for him to sit down with one of the biggest hip hop artists in the White House.
All it did was hurt the hip hop artist and not influence politics at all.
It hurt the hip hop artist.
I think it did. I think he got slammed for that.
A lot of Republicans will be going to listen to the next Kanye.
Listen, what do you guys think? What I'm trying to say is there's less influence because almost nothing can penetrate these divided walls that we have, the gerrymandering that's already been set up. the taking away of licenses of people. I mean, having to bring a license to come and vote. People being locked up, not being able to vote when they come out. These laws were put in because we neglected to vote back in the day, and now that voting has become popular, a lot of the things that we do, Stacey Abrams should have been there, but it's going to be taken away.
Listen,
because it's already to a point where the wall is done. That's my side of the argument.
Guys that I'm speaking for that are young in hip hop, let it be known. Still go out to the polls.
I agree.
Don't be discouraged.
Prove me wrong.
Exactly. It's like we always tell, like the older crowd always like to tell the younger crowd, and it sounds cliche, but it's the truth. One vote at a time. It took us this long to get this far. It's a high wall, I agree, Bruce, but it can be climbed. What did Obama say? Yes, we can.
That I agree with. How much hip hop has to do with that, I guess, is up to us, up to the artists. Who's gonna step up next? Who's gonna step up next?
I see the Diddy's out there. I see dudes out there playing their part and trying to make a difference. So again, like I said, there is influence there. There is influence there. Whether, like I said, you can't weigh it by because this one didn't get into the office or whatever this time or whatever. That's not the whole picture.
What do you guys think? Leave it right down there. Tomorrow, we only do Tuesdays and Fridays right now, but tomorrow I'm putting out a special video for all of the shout outs. Like I said, we have 50 or 60 since we had our month-long break, and I'm putting them all together. Listen, you got Bloods, Crips, and Essays. You know you're gonna get yours. Last Letter, you know what's coming. New people like Future Enzo, you're gonna get it. New people like Q Banger, you're gonna get it. But there's so many. Tomorrow, you guys stay tuned. I'm putting out an entire show just on the shout outs. So be careful, be there.
Shout out to Hove. It's the King's birthday, the GOAT as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Man, Renee Leo, you coming, man. Colton Parapelkin. It's so many. Y'all wait till tomorrow. I'm doing a full show on Just You.
We appreciate all the comments that you leave. Keep pressing the subscribe button. Keep tuning in. We got y'all. Morph this.
Peace.